Hey friends, welcome to a spicy episode of Washing Dishes. If you are a fan of hot sauce and or spicy food in general, as I am, you may have noticed that it's getting a little tough to find good old Huy Fong Sriracha at the grocery store these days. So I figured we'd take a little bit of time and talk about maybe some, make-it-home alternatives for that shortcoming. We're going to do a kind of sriracha clone recipe that is based off of a recipe I found on Serious Eats. And we're going to do that both fermented and not. And then we're also going to do kind of a quick and dirty blender Gochujang version that you can make in like 10 minutes of my own design. And we'll taste them and we'll see how they come out. Stick around. All I'm doing right now is chopping the stems off of a bunch of Fresno chilies. This is about 3 pounds of Fresno chilies. We're going to chop the stems off, and then we're going to puree them and cook them down. It's really kind of a simple process. You're really just making a chili paste and straining it and making a chili paste again and straining it until it's the consistency that you want. So chilies are chillin' because they're chilies. I'm going to take all the garlic. Yeah, that seems about right. Better to have more than less. I'm going to pop it in a baking dish with just a little tiny splash of toasted sesame seed oil. And then another kind of medium splash, just enough to coat, of plain old vegetable oil, canola oil, grapeseed oil, whatever you have. We're going to toss that around with our hands. And then we're going to pop this in a 350 degree oven until it is just starting to take on char. We're trying to get that like earthy, rich flavor that traditional sriracha has. And I'm going to try to get it by toasting some garlic. Fingers crossed. Let's see how it works. Well, the clone is going and cooking down and the garlic's going. I'm going to make kind of a quick and dirty personal version. That's going to start with Gochujang, a Korean fermented chili paste. We're going to do it in the blender in one shot, and then we'll cook it down a little bit to get it to the consistency we want. So I'm making a bunch of this because, I want to have it around the house for a while, and hot sauce almost never goes bad. So we're using the gochujang because it's already fermented, so it's already got a lot of the flavors that we would get out of that we will get and would get out of fermenting the chilies for the other version. I'm using quite a lot of it. This is an entire new container, and that was like a third of the old container, and these are 1 pound containers. So yeah, go for it. Like I said, hot sauce almost never goes bad, and you have friends who like hot sauce, right? Then we're going to go in with about 20 cloves of garlic, half a cup of cider vinegar in mine, because that's what I feel like using. And then this is a Trinidad scorpion pepper for, a little extra heat. We'll just take the stem off very carefully. Pop that whole thing in. And then we're going to do like 3/4 of a cup of honey, which I never measure. I just kind of eyeball it. There we go. And I'm going to pull y'all in for a closer look while I turn this on. We might need to add a little water to get this going, but we'll see how it goes. Whatever water we add, we can cook out. We can just pop it on the stove and reduce it down so we get the consistency that we want. Well, let's take it for a spin. All right, and we're just going to blend this until it's completely smooth, and then run it through a pretty fine but not crazy fine mesh sieve, and then just pop it on the stove until it cooks down to a desired consistency. A little preview, it didn't take cooking this down very much. I added some water to get it going, and then when I popped it on the stove, I think I let it go for like maybe 5 minutes once it was simmering, and it was good to go. So, if you add too much water, it's easy to cook out. If you don't add very much water, you end up with a thicker sauce. Just kind of depends on your blender's power level. Anyway, on to the next step in the process. All right, we're going through this at warp speed because this took quite a while. I've donned a mask and gloves to protect both my hands and my respiratory system from all of the pepper stuff that's going to be in the air. And we're just going to puree this as fine as as smooth as we can get it in the food processor before we cook it down so that we can have everything nice and soft to puree in the blender. I'm just doing this, one batch at a time. I'm throwing the garlic in as we go, some salt just as an abrasive and to season, and it's just, bit by bit, we get this pureed down and then get it on the stove. All right, I'm going to be honest, I'm mostly just throwing in this bottling montage because it shows off this adorable mushroom funnel thing that I got. It's on Amazon. I don't have an affiliate link, but you can find it if you look. Yeah. We bottled up the other sauce because I needed this pan clean so we could cook this down. We're adding the chilies, and then we're going to add a bunch of other ingredients that I'll get to as we add them. But this is going to go for about 20 to 30 minutes on medium to medium-low heat. Stir it occasionally. There's already a lot of sugar in here, and we're going to add some more sugar, and we don't want anything to scorch on the bottom of the pan. Keep this uncovered. You want to cook off a lot of the moisture because you want to be able to control the moisture level in the final sauce. All right, so additional ingredients. We are going in with 1 1/4 cup of dark or light brown sugar, as you prefer. 1/3 cup of salt. I'm using kosher, so adjust. And then 2.5 cups of white vinegar, just plain old white vinegar. We're not using this to add, we're just using this to add some acidity to the overall product to get that little bit of sour flavor. I'm just going to stir it up, get everything nice and well distributed, and then we're going to cook it, as I said, for like 20 to 30 minutes until it's everything's nice and soft, everything's dissolved and mixed around, and then we'll pop it in the blender and continue from there. And real quick, I just wanted to point out, this was my setup. I splattered some sauce on my wall while I was cooking it to keep the fumes from destroying me. So I'm just popping it in the blender, and we're going to take it for a spin, run it through the strainer just like the other one, and then bottle it on up. And I've got some plans for what we're going to do with the bottled stuff. And then this is just going to sit on the stove over, again, medium-low heat, stir it every once in a while, reduce it down to the consistency you like. This process took me like 15 minutes, less, because I think I left it on higher than I meant to. But yeah, so once it's the consistency that you want, we'll just go ahead and get it in the bottles. And so this has reduced down to a consistency very similar to off-the-shelf Sriracha. Let me set my spoon aside. So I'm going to put about a pint of this into a mason jar. Once that cools off, we'll seal it up with an airlock and let it sit out at room temperature for a few days. See if that changes anything. The rest of it is going to go into these bottles for immediate-ish use. So I'm going to give this one to a friend, and then this one's going to stay in my fridge. Quick shout out to I Like to Make Stuff, whose merch I have been wearing thus far. Shop.iltms.com. All right, well, we'll let these cool down to room temp before we put them away. But yeah, I will be back in a few days, which for you will be just a sec, to taste the fermented version and the other versions and compare them to commercial Sriracha. So, BRB, I guess, in a few days? I don't know how that works. There will be a jump cut, and I'll be tasting things. Back in a flash. It's a week later. You can tell because I'm wearing a different piece of content creator merch. If you like Hearthstone, check out the Coin Concede podcast. Anyway, it's time to taste our hot sauces, and I'm going to use nothing but the finest microwaved dino nuggets. Dino nuggies are hot. Let's get tasting. So I've got commercial Sriracha. This is the last of my commercial Sriracha. I've got the Serious Eats clone as made in the earlier part of the video. I've got my Gochujang version, and then I've got the fermented version, which I fermented in a airlock for about a week. So let's get to tasting. Consistency on this is pretty close to traditional Sriracha. Ooh, smells really good. I mean, it honestly, it smells a lot like traditional Sriracha. All right, here's our Gochujang version. A little thick, not complaining. I'm gonna taste it. That's really good. It tastes like Dr. Gochujang, but it has a lot of nice extra flavor to it. All right, and then our clone Sriracha from the day of shooting, and traditional Sriracha, or commercial Sriracha, Huy Fong, the classic. All right, let's dig into this. So I'm going to start over here with the commercial version as my kind of baseline. Ooh, that's hot. There's nothing wrong with commercial Sriracha. Spicy, a little bit sweet, sour, has a nice earthy note. It's just, it's ketchup in most kitchens I've ever worked in, and there's a reason. All right. I'm going to grab a glass of water. Good to have a palate cleanser. All right, so let's try our sat in the fridge for a week clone. It's close. It's a little more spicy because I used Fresnos instead of red jalapenos. It's not quite as sweet, and it's a lot brighter. Yeah. It's definitely got a more, like, noticeable, like, this was made with vegetables flavor than the commercial version. All right, and then this is the clone that we fermented for a week. Oh! Interesting. So far, this is my favorite of the three. It's not quite this. It's a lot more like this one with that, like, vegetal flavor and brightness, but the lacto fermentation has really kind of, like, rounded that out and added a little bit of that nice earthiness and kind of funkiness to it that is, really good. All right. And then this is my quick and dirty gochujang version. This one definitely tastes the most processed because it started with a processed product, right? It started with a tub of gochujang. But that kind of head start definitely gave it a lot of complexity. It's not too sweet. It's sweet, but it's really, I think it's really well balanced. I would say, I mean, I'm not trying to replace Sriracha, but since it looks like we might have to, if you've got the time, go do the ferment. Make the paste, mix it up, do the fermentation. If you just want to do it quickly, I would say this one works out better as an at the moment version than this one. But this one is still good. It's just not, it's not quite Sriracha. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching. If you like what you see, I've been doing this for about a year. There's a bunch of videos. You can catch me on Twitter at Wash in the Wind. You can catch me on Threads and Instagram at WashInTHWind, because character limits are a thing. And I stream on Twitch at Wash in the Wind. I've got a Patreon, and if you like what you see, as I said, I've been doing this for a little while. Maybe check out some videos and drop a like and or subscribe and a comment. What should I make? What would you like to learn how to make? What would you like to see me make? And what would you like to not have to spend money on when you go grocery shopping? Because you can make it at home. Leave it in the comments. Have a good one. Thank you for watching.